What's going on, guys? It's the Club Main 1993 coming at you for another live review of NXT. We're going to take a look at what happened on tonight's episode, or if you tune into this later. This week's episode of NXT, of course, took place at Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. Prayers continuing as well for the victims from Hurricane Irma and, of course, Hurricane Harvey down in the Houston area of Texas. But we got NXT tonight, Full Sail University, and I gotta say, second week in a row, I thought we had another really good show. There's some things that did made me think take this level to the next level. The show is not just just regular normal B show. This was actually a pretty solid show. It had a lot of good stuff. I don't have anything to complain about. So I think this is more than just above average NXT show. I thought we had a really strong show tonight. The main event was good as well. Of course, what happened after the main event, we'll get into that as well. But we had a lot of interesting things happen on this show, and I'm very interested to see going forward. As I keep saying, NXT spreads out its pay-per-views, only has 4 or 5 a year now, and they at least have something slow, make things interesting, keep things going moving forward each week, or they'll just review a half week before the following week and say, oh, this we'll find out this, and this. So it's a great format. That's why just 1 hour of NXT is good enough for me. So let's get to it and see what we got here. We start off with a match. It was supposed to be Ruby Riott and a mystery partner against the iconic duo of Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. Last week, in an interview at the Performance Center, Ruby Riott said, I wanted to face Billie Kay and Peyton Royce 2-on-1 to shut them both up. General Manager William Regal, of course, says I should say, of course, because I'm a little confused as to why apparently people have been so protective of handicap matches as of late. Regal's like, I cannot in all power give you a 2-on-1 handicap matches, but he says I can make a tag team match. You and a partner of your choosing against Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. He says, call whatever you want. He says, as long as those two are on your side of the ring, I want to get my hands on them, pretty much. So we're wondering, who's this mystery partner going to be? Well, the match got started. Ruby Riott just came out by herself. The match started as a 2-on handicap match, which I thought was okay. This could be interesting because I don't know. I'm starting to get this little weird vibe of what's up with people saying, I can't be doing these handicap matches. We need to be doing these matches. What's up with that all of a sudden? We've gotten handicap matches time and time again. Why are they all of a sudden being a little protective about it storyline-wise? A little confusing, but again, I don't want to nitpick really because there wasn't really anything to nitpick at all about this episode of NXT. So then the match goes on, but during the match, we see Nikki Cross lurking around. And we all know that Nikki Cross and Ruby Riott had a rivalry earlier this year that really felt like they're going to culminate. So I keep wondering if they're going to have one more match, maybe a hardcore match or something, sometime big brutal street fight or something, because these two, let them go unhinged as they are, and they're going to go crazy. But so Nikki just seems to be lurking around and watching the match, and then all of a sudden, she tags herself into the match. She tags Ruby and enters the match as Ruby's partner, but Ruby seemed confused. She didn't expect this to be what it was, and she, for the most part, took out both Billie and Peyton, and left there lying and tagged Ruby back in and left. Ruby just hit a splash from the top rope or whatever it was for the victory, and she just looked off in just confusion. It's so what was up with that? Why did Nikki Cross come out and was Ruby Riott's tag partner? So again, confusing, but it's a good confusing because it leaves us wondering, because it's a hook. What's next? With the attack slave from Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish, it's obvious, and then also they're going to have to Sandy for a tag title. Are they going to start transitioning Sandy to a babyface role? And is Nikki Cross also going to a bit of a babyface role? Let's see what happens in upcoming episodes. Of course, whenever Sandy and Cole, O'Reilly, and Fish come face to face, we'll see where it goes. But very interested to see what happens. A good match, but the story of this match, of course, was Nikki Cross just randomly tagged herself into the match. Why did it happen? We'll probably find out in a few weeks or so on one of the next tapings. But yeah, good opening match. we then had another, a promo from last week. It was with Rick Moss and Tina Sabatelli, who are apparently a tag team. I didn't really probably have appeared before. I can't remember them off the top of my head. They pretty much walked to Johnny Gargano while he's being interviewed at the Performance Center, and just pretty much started like mocking him, saying something like, "Oh yeah, we're sorry we're the one that caused the break of DIY and such, blah blah blah. Your match at Takeover, was good." Pretty much just mocking Johnny, trying to get into his head about just what happened with him and Tommaso Ciampa when we know that Gargano's trying to move on from the DIY days and just focus on a singles competitor. We know eventually, Ciampa's going to come back and, make a statement, and him and Gargano are going to have a show-stealing match probably at TakeOver New Orleans next year. And, Gargano mocks him saying, "Oh, yeah, so you're laughing now." It's pretty much, well, you got a good view of my match at TakeOver Brooklyn 3 on your couches at home. So that's how we're going to do it. I'm going to face you this week, pointing at Rick Moss. And we'll see who was talking or whatever he said. He said, we had the match then between Johnny Gargano and Rick Moss with Tina Sabatelli, at ringside. Another really good match. And it, again, play the story through, is Johnny Gargano going to be able to, keep himself under control with what he's been going through. And, Moss and Sabatelli just pushed his buttons this match. There was also a point where Gargano had him locked in the crossface, and he was shocked that Moss got out of it. So it sort of like, Gargano's like, just out of it. It's like, he's trying to move on from his betrayal of his longtime best friend, but at the same time, it's still getting to him, and people are pushing his buttons to like let just have him just explode. But he was able to, take out Sabatelli inside. Sabatelli didn't really do too much in this match, but it was still a great, high-flying match, with two, bigger guys that worked really well with Johnny Gargano. And Gargano eventually was able to hit something like, spear on him or somewhat to pick up the win to get some momentum going for him as well. So, again, I enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing how they're going to build up Johnny Gargano getting to that big match. It's going to take place whenever Tommaso Ciampa returns from injury, probably sometime. Maybe it could be a TakeOver Philadelphia right before the Royal Rumble. We'll see what happens. But I look forward to seeing what happens and another solid match. At some point, we did have an interview from Noe Jose talking about Lars Sullivan. 3 weeks ago, it was at the NXT first one after SummerSlam and TakeOver Brooklyn 3, where Noe Jose was going out to have a match, and then Sullivan attacks him. And then again, I couldn't see it last week because apparently that part got cut off for the NXT taping. But after Lars Sullivan's 3-on-1 handicap match last week, there's a handicap match there that, well, then again, that was punishment for Lars Sullivan. But Jose came out just trying to confront him, and Sullivan just beat him down. And Jose pointed out, I was having a good time 3 weeks ago, coming out dancing with the crowd, and all of a sudden, here comes Sullivan just to beat me up. He says, and you notice, Sullivan, no matter if he's in a tag team match or what, he does nothing but just beats the crap out of everybody after the match. He says, so I'm going to challenge him to a match next week. So next week looks like we'll probably be getting Lars Sullivan and Noe Jose in a singles match next week. So we'll see what happens there. Again, I've been interested in seeing what they're doing with Lars Sullivan. With this whole, he just beats the crap out of people, making him look like a little bit of a monster. We'll see what happens going forward. We didn't have a pretty fun match here. It was between the Street Profits and the Ely Brothers. I love these guys, the Street Profits. Ely Brothers, they seem like they have potential as well, but I'm really digging these Street Profits. They're all energetic and hype and such. Just like a little bit like, high flyers as well. And there with Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. They put on a pretty solid match as well against the Ely Brothers. They beat them, of course, and gave them a decent amount of time. It wasn't like a squash match or anything. But after the match, they went out to the crowd and started interacting with the crowd, dancing, getting all pumped up. And, that's what the crowd needs more of. You don't see as much on the main roster. That's also why I enjoy watching NXT, because the crowd is always energized and into it no matter what match is on, because they don't burn you out like they do on Raw or SmackDown, or even on, big 4 pay-per-views that are like 4 hours long. If they're going to be that long, you got to make it worth the time being. But again, this show just flowed together so well. Everything turned out great. But afterwards, they did, just do a recap of what happened last week with Asuka stepping down as the NXT Women's Champion to pursue, further opportunities. And as we know, this past week on Raw, vignettes for her as she's going to be going to the Raw brand. Again, hopefully, probably mid-October on TLC. I'm predicting, if not, definitely before Survivor Series. Again, I keep saying, make a joke. I'm sure she'll show up in less than 17 weeks, unlike Emelina, who took 17 long weeks to arrive just to go back into the regular Emma, which is what needed to happen anyways, because she didn't need the transition to this whole fashion model gimmick or whatnot. Didn't make sense. But I'm not going to keep ranting. We're going to keep talking about this because after they show highlights of Asuka's career and what a lot of superstars had to say about her, how she's quiet but she's definitely sweet backstage, but in the ring she's one of the scariest girls to ever fight with, and that is true as they made her out to be. And then after this package, they had they're interviewing Regal backstage. So I was like, "What's next? How are you going to crown a new NXT Women's Champion at NXT TakeOver Houston?" He says, "I have something to do about that, but I will definitely probably make an announcement about that probably next week or so." I believe he said. So we're going to hopefully find out next week, but we already know part of it through the rumors hearing that. Well, not rumors. It is fact that the winner of the Mae Young Classic, Kairi Sane, who is going to be on NXT, is going to be the one person in the match for the NXT Women's Championship against somebody else. Could it be Ember Moon? Could it be, Nikki Cross, Ruby Riott? Even anybody from the Iconic Duo? Who knows? We'll see what happens. But, definitely going to start getting Kairi Sane a solid push as well. She did excellent. She probably is the next Asuka, pretty much. I don't want to say the next Asuka, but I'm sure she's going to be, a strong addition to the NXT Women's Division. Let's see going forward and see who else from the Mae Young Classic is going to be sticking around and being on the NXT roster. So we'll see. And it was also announced for next week, and I'll be wearing my shirt when I do the review, that Aleister Black is going to speak for the first time ever in NXT. We haven't really heard from him yet. Who is Aleister Black? He's this mysterious, dark character that we just all love. And his entrance especially. Me, I love it. His shirt's in my closet. I'll probably wear it next week when I watch next week's episode. But yeah, that's as well. And then we get into our main event. I always look forward to these type of matches because these matches always seem to capitalize. We had Tyler Bate defend his title against, I believe he defended against Trent Seven. And he defended against Jack Gallagher. And one more person, I can't think of who it was, but he was actually quite a few times before he dropped the belt to Pete Dunne at TakeOver Chicago. And we had a solid tag match between Dunn, Wolfgang, and Tyler Bate and Trent Seven. Just the same NXT whenever Lars Sullivan attacked Noe Jose at one in Brooklyn that we just talked about at the beginning of this review. But Wolfgang and Dunn, excellent match. I'd say besides Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate at TakeOver Chicago, this might have been my second favorite match of any UK title matches I've seen so far. This was just great. The Bruiserweight, just brawl, his own brawling self as we've seen. We had Wolfgang in there, who again, I keep saying how Samoa Joe's great for his agility and all these other big men, but Wolfgang, my goodness, he's doing moonsaults, swanton bombs, attempting such. This guy's 255 pounds, probably decently over 6 feet tall. I'm not sure. Against Pete Dunne, who's I think he's only 205 pounds. He's a little bigger than that. But these two just gelled really well together, and they put on a really solid main event. Pete Dunne, of course, came away with the win with the bitter end, I believe is what the Bruiserweight calls his finisher, to retain his championship. And again, in a really good match. I love this match. And then afterwards, who shows up? The team of Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. They first have, Pete Dunne in the middle of all of them. People saying, okay, it's all good, I'll leave. And as last week, what Regal had to say about the actions of those three, saying how, the fight goes on in the ring, not outside the ring. Well, they're in the ring all right as they tried beating down on Pete Dunn. Excuse me. But they beat down on Pete Dunn, and Wolfgang, who just lost the match, came in and tried to save Pete Dunn, but then the attack turned, and he was the one who was getting beat down. Dunn escaped, and for I like this tease. It looked like Dunn was going to go back in there and save Wolfgang, but instead he just ran to the ropes and just grabbed his title and walked away. He's like, I ain't dealing with this crap. So they pretty much let Wolfgang just get beat down. And right when they were done getting the beat down, here out came fellow UK wrestlers Tyler Bates, the former UK champion, and Trent Seven, and they stared down Cole, O'Reilly, and Fish. And O'Reilly and then all three of them are just screaming out, this is our era. It's our NXT now. We run this place and whatnot. Guys, let me tell you, before NXT Brooklyn 3, we had a wave card for so many superstars. Drew McIntyre, people talking about Roderick Strong, Bobby Roode, who I believe has moved on definitely to the main roster now, probably done with NXT. Sanity, Authors of Pain, Street Profits are coming up. Heavy Machinery's on their way up. Ruby Riott, all we had Asuka around, Ember Moon, Nikki Cross, like all these big names are being paved the way. And now ever since these three have shown up, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish, it's just a whole new game now. It feels so different. And it's fresh. It feels like these are the guys who are there to take over NXT, and I'm loving it. We'll probably be seeing them involved in some sort of matches. Probably take over Houston. We'll probably have Sanity and what's their names? Oh yeah, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish probably taking a tag team championship, probably at least at Houston. Adam Cole getting the NXT championship. Not sure if it'll be at Houston or if it will be in Philadelphia, but definitely one of those two pay-per-views we will be seeing. Maybe Houston, because I don't know, with Roderick Strong being involved in the title picture right now, it seems. We'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, these guys are just making NXT feel even more different, taking up to another level. NXT, despite, at the beginning of the year, it was still going through that rebuilding process. Things were good, but weren't like on the level that it was before. But ever since that turn by Tommaso Ciampa, things have just been like out of the water again. But yeah, that is it though for my review of this week's episode of NXT. If I had to give it a grade, I'll give it a solid A-. Great show. A lot of things went on in the show. The mysteriousness of Nikki Cross randomly tagging herself into the match to help her former rival Ruby Riott defeat Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. We had a great match with Johnny Gargano and Rick Moss, I believe the name is. We had the Street Profits and the Ely Brothers. We had some good backstage segments. Next week we're going to get Lars Sullivan and No Way Jose. We're also going to get Aleister Black speaking for the first time. We also had this great main event for UK Championship, and then we're going to see what happens next as the continued hit and run attacks by Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. So we'll see what happens next week. But what are your thoughts on NXT tonight? What grade would you give NXT? As always, please click that like and subscribe button for more content to come to this channel. And also make sure, I keep forgetting to also mention this in my videos, make sure to follow me on Twitter as well at DemandAirboy93. Link is left in the description down below. And with that, guys, I'm going to check out. Thank you for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you all later.